Yes.
Yes, so we're starting with the two reviewers first before we
So
take
let's
on the
start with
expert.
the two
Thank
reviewers.
you.
Ms. Nkeokelonye is a social development researcher who specializes in gender and social inclusion. She has a PhD in cultural studies from Malaysia and a master's degree in development studies from the University of Sussex, United Kingdom, and English language from our very own University of Lagos. So, ladies and gentlemen, your applause one more time as we welcome Ms. Adobe Nkeokelonye for a review of the book. Is she on the Zoom call? If
Hello,
she's
everyone.
not,
Good evening.
okay, good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. I think I need to share a slide to support the presentation. So I'm trying to do just that. Okay. Okay. All right. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for all joining. I count it a privilege to be reviewing this timely piece when time runs out by my friend and sister, Adeola Olunloyo. I have been blessed to know her and travel on this life journey with her for almost half of my lifetime. I congratulate her for writing this indispensable piece of work. It is another evidence of her generosity, always making teachable moments for those coming behind her from the hard paths that life has taken her on. When Time Runs Out presents us with 7 interesting chapters. It opens with an introduction that justifies its existence, essentially spotlighting the fact that the deprioritization and near absence of fertility education creates a glaring gap that is critical to the well-being and sense of fulfillment of many young women and by extension our society, I would say. So the first chapter creates a background that highlights a paradigm shift where women's life choices that align with their participation in the global workforce, such as their need for education, their need to pursue a career, financial independence, and all that begins to engender the social expectations of marrying young and having children, particularly in the way it was in the 20th century, where girls got married or had children in their 20s. In present time, the average age of marriage is now placed at 30. In the same vein, women are increasingly having children into their 40s. And for these women who aspire to be mothers, and who are, advanced in age, navigating the realities of their fertility journey and the pitfalls becomes a struggle that they battle with silently. The book looks at the role that social norms play and how it influences women. As a young woman myself, I could remember the years when maybe our peers who married or had babies in their early 20s were blamed for not pursuing their education, for not pursuing a career and things like that. As we got older, in the 40s, unmarried, not having children yet, you begin to also feel that sense of, pressure and judgment that comes with saying, oh, why have you been pursuing career without considering marriage and having children? So the issues of social norms begin to expose you to the fact that either way, a woman can't win, really. Chapter 2 of this book does an excellent job of discussing how social norms, stigma, and labels influences women's fertility journey and choices that they make. So for women who fall into these target groups, chapter 3 of this book offers options. It provides us with the options that modern technology has enabled. Particularly, it talks about proactive options such as egg freezing and preservation of fertility or delayed motherhood that young empowered women can take on to while they engage in other equally important pursuits. But the question anyone would ask is whether technology alone is enough. This book clearly presents also options. It presents all the possible risks and challenges and costs of choices that women can make, just like she has mentioned, egg freezing and preservation, while also stressing on the need that for young women, beyond having these options, it is very important that you have very realistic expectations set for yourself. When time runs out, would have been considered incomplete by me if it didn't address the issues of social perceptions of single motherhood. So in chapter 4 of the book, he looks at breaking the stigma of single motherhood. While the double parent household for us can be said to be ideal, we all know that life happens and death happens, divorce happens, separation happens, so many things happen. And for so many reasons, we now have a lot of single parent households that are doing fantastic jobs that we should also be applauding. But the impact of a social perception that is negative about single motherhood on aspiring mothers ought to be taken note of. And it's not positive, it's detrimental to their collective well-being, not just for them, but for their children. Chapter 4 of this book does a really good job at that. Mrs. Olunloye has given an example of herself. At over 40 years, for example, we have women who have means and who desire to birth and raise children. But they have remained in the waiting room for marriage, waiting for honorable men that haven't turned up. They still have their dreams of motherhood. The question then is, what options does the society offer them for fulfilling their dream of motherhood without judgment? So to women in this category and generally, I think this book says that single motherhood is an empowering option that they can explore. I also like that, in this book, men are not left behind. When time runs out, carries men along, while it highlights the fact of their declining fertility, not as much as women, but also what nothing. Their role as partners to women on their fertility journey is discussed. The supports and actions of male partners and relatives can alleviate the difficulties women face in their fertility journeys. So to ensure male allyship, this book in its 5th chapter calls for the need to rethink masculinity, the way men participate in parenting, to also redefine masculinity. Similarly, chapter 6 of the book calls for support of stakeholders in the education and policy ecosystem. It demands that fertility education should be accessible to all, an integral part of reproductive health education. It calls for a more inclusive policy that addresses access and affordability to fertility education and treatment. In its final chapter, it offers encouragement and hope to all aspiring mothers out there. It states that there is need for women in this target group to be very intentional in their actions in pursuing their dreams. It makes a point for having resilience, emotional strength, seeking knowledge, engaging with very supportive networks of relationships, and seeking professional help and counsel is recommended as a winning strategy. In all, it encourages women to be confident in their personal choices and values, disregarding social pressure, and ensuring that their decisions on fertility are made basically based on their personal values and not based on what any other person thinks. In conclusion, When Time Runs Out by my sister Adeola has been an excellent job at addressing an important issue for many young women and couples aspiring for parenthood and motherhood. It is rendered in a thought-provoking and engaging manner. I think it's educative, it's insightful, it's concise, it's comprehensive. I look forward to having it on my shelf. I also recommend this for the shelves of families with young men and women everywhere. To my sister, to my friend, accept my congratulations and best wishes. Thank you for this learning opportunity and for giving me time to be your first reviewer. Congratulations again, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ma, for that concise review. Thank you so much for also keeping to time. And there is more review coming up. Just to add that beyond having it on our shelves for everyone here, the book also comes highly recommended for higher institutions, particularly for their science departments. It comes highly recommended for family life practitioners who are into counseling, for intending couples, even for married couples who are expecting. It is very, very handy for the libraries of churches, for all young people who are considering marriage, particularly for single ladies who eventually will get to begin that journey of seeking knowledge for fertility. So as we make progress now,